For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Grable. How's it going today?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
Going pretty good. It's like you'd mentioned, it's starting to warm up a little bit here in Central Texas, but then next week it's probably going to start freezing again. So they're just teasing me with this warm. But anyways, first off, I'm excited to have you on. We were originally supposed to do this sometime last week, but it happened to be on your birthday. So happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And when I saw that, I was like, we should probably reschedule that. Let me see. Let me reach out and see what's going on. But, it's one of those things where sometimes our podcasts have to be booked out so far in advance that it's just like, oh, you don't think about stuff like that. But once again, I'm really excited to have you on here and chat a little bit. Before we kind of jump into music or your new single and album that released last year, check myself there, last year, and then the new music that you're working on. What's kind of your background story? What got you introduced to music? All that fun stuff.
Well, background wise, I was born in the one state everybody forgets exists, New Mexico. I was born in Santa Fe. Everybody always asks me, and no offense to them, because, I get it. When you're not born there, you just don't think about it. They're just like, you mean Arizona, right? No, New Mexico, but born in New Mexico, kind of raised there, and then also raised out here in the East in Florida as well. And I think my first influences for music were at a really young age. And I think that a lot of my creativity started blossoming really young. I just didn't really, formulate it until long later. But I mean, I started writing when I was about 9 to 12 years old. And I think my first earliest inspirations were just listening to a ton of music. Both my parents listened to music nonstop. And my dad, he was kind of into actually writing or playing instruments. Now, I cannot attest to the quality of his work, but he knew. He was like, I'm here just to inspire you. Okay. So don't take this, don't think it's going to be perfect, but that's where it really started. I think he was the one who gave me my first guitar and was like, hey, just, play around with it. See what noises you can make.
Nice. Awesome. I do have to, mention about the whole New Mexico thing, because I lived in Roswell for 4 years. And when I moved out there, I had at least 2 people ask me, why did I decide to leave America?
That's right. That's how it goes. And I think being born there, everybody asked, and they were like, so did you have to get like a, what do you call it? Like a green card or a visa. Yeah, a visa. They were like, did you have to get a visa to come here? I was no. It's I get it. If you're not really from there, you don't really think about it. It's one of the invisible states. That's kind of the benefit, I think, of being there is you create and everything moves a little bit slower in peace, Yeah.
I will say that I had only been to Santa Fe a couple times. Santa Fe just wasn't a place that I was actively going to when I lived there, but they have an amazing arts community there, just like the little bit that I've seen and all that stuff. So that's really cool that you got to live there and grow up there.
Yeah, they have like a really open-minded and also just supported art scene there. I mean, even in Albuquerque, the city that I was really living in, just south of Santa Fe, like it's very arts oriented and they promote it. The whole community just loves it. And whether it's, in the city, arts on buildings or, projects, and they have like art walk events. Yeah. It's all very, very culturally artistic, which is actually, I was quite thankful for that, because it just kind of is a breeding ground for creativity and inspiration for sure.
Yeah. And I'm really glad to have somebody on here speaking positively of Albuquerque, because if you watch a lot of the news and a lot of that stuff, it's just a lot of bad publicity for Albuquerque. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can attest to it. Just that, like, there's some parts of Albuquerque you need to stay out of, but you don't need to go to there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, it has every place has its sides, its bad sides, I think, but the good sides are well worth mentioning more, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So, you're in Jacksonville, Florida now. How long? You just recently moved there, right?
I did, like a month ago. I mean, I still haven't even gotten my house and everything and my furniture all situated and unpacked. I mean, I practically just walked in the door. So with everything, but I'm kind of still getting to know Jacksonville, really getting my feet in there in the community or music scene. So that one's kind of fresh, but so far I'm loving it.
Nice. Yeah. Jacksonville is really cool. I got to meet some musicians that were from Jacksonville. They aren't necessarily living there anymore, but just all the talented musicians that are there and coming out of there. It's really inspiring, and the different music festivals and stuff that they do there is really incredible. So
that's news to me. I haven't even seen them yet, but I'm definitely excited to.
Yeah. And especially if you go to like St. Augustine and go down to their old St. Augustine, I guess is what it's called. I don't even remember what it's called at this point. It's they got live music everywhere, just walking downtown and all that stuff, and it's really cool. So
I'll have to check that out, definitely.
Yeah. So you're there. Why did you end up deciding that you wanted to move to Jacksonville?
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of reasons, and everything kind of just aimed this direction. Like I said, with New Mexico, it's very laid back in a positive way and allows you a lot of room to create. Mm-hmm. But I kind of, just growing up out on the East, I miss the hustle and the bustle, the go, and the motivation. It's a change. It's a cultural change, and I love them both, but I think I came out here for that. And then, so my family's out here, and, work.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So,
and of course the music is always a positive thing as well. So
the music, the sunshine and the beaches, there's always that.
Yeah, that too. And then the occasional space launch that you could see from Jacksonville, probably pretty clearly. Because I could see him from Tallahassee, so I can only imagine how clearly you can see him from. I lived in Tallahassee for 2 years, but anyways, so going back to music, you mentioned that your dad was the first person that kind of introduced you to music and got you a guitar. Do you remember the first song you learned how to play on that guitar?
Right before we got on this call, I thought to myself, I should probably remember what the first song I ever learned was, just in case somebody wants to know. And so I thought about it for a few minutes, and it hit me, and I was like, so I'm going to share it. Okay. It might not be very impressive. It's definitely different than what people are going to be hearing from my music and what they've already heard. Mm-hmm. So don't take this as an example, but the first song that I ever learned and performed was actually, I don't know if you've heard it, but it's from the Flaming Lips. Mm-hmm. And it was called She Don't Use Jelly.
Okay. Nice.
And so it's kind of got like a punky vibe. It was definitely not very structured and not very pretty.
Nice. Hey, that works. It's everybody's got their first song. Do you remember any specific reason why, or were you just in a real punky mood when you started learning how to play?
Honestly, I was young, and my dad was like, hey, I'm going to put a band together, and I want you to play the guitar and sing for us. And I must have been like 9 or 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And we were just playing in the garage, and he was like, hey, learn this one. And I was like, at first I was like, I kind of hate this song, because I was young. I liked all the pretty stuff. But he introduced me to that. And so basically that was my introduction to like more grungy style music. And he was like, but I really want to see how you do it. I want to see what you do with it. And so I was like, okay. And so that was really it. And the results were really fun. Like, it was an experience I'm glad I had.
Gotcha. Had you had any like training prior to that, or was it just here's a guitar,
No.
figure it out.
Yeah, just kind of figure it out, play along. It was a painful process. And I'm sure that my mom listening would have been like, oh, I need headphones or something just to drown out what noise we were making. It was horrible for a while, I'm sure. We definitely didn't get it anywhere close to the first try.
Okay. Gotcha. And that, so kind of going through that as you grew up, how did your musical career kind of evolve after that? Did you start taking lessons? Like, what kind of happened after that?
What happened after that was I mostly wrote. I can say for most of the younger years of my creative, endeavors before I actually really got into it, I didn't take it as serious as I do now, I guess you could say. I kind of thought it was just a daydream thing. I used to write more than anything and then sing. I sang all the time at home growing up. And so, I mean, I can't say that there was like any classes or training, but anything like that. It was just a lot of constant practice because I enjoyed the act of doing it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the guitar. I think I steadily picked up the guitar right around 16 to 17 years old. Okay. And I was like, okay, we're really going to learn this now. And that's when I was going to dive in and just basically watch a lot of YouTube and learn.
The University of YouTube. That is the best place to go.
Yeah, definitely. That was awesome. I think that's why, I mean, I didn't really, probably should have, but I didn't invest in a lot of like classes. I didn't go to any music classes or training like that. So it was really all just kind of self-taught on YouTube later on.
Yeah. And I mean, classes are good if you thrive in that kind of environment. But for the most part, like YouTube, the money it saves you is well worth, like, just, taking that little bit of extra time to try and figure it out. Now, I will say, like, a class and having like a mentor or somebody to teach you theory and why you do certain things, that's probably a little bit more what you'd take a class for. But just like learning the basic chords and just like the basics of it, so you don't, that could all be easily attained during University of YouTube. So
yeah, absolutely. I found that I think it's just the environment that I initially started making music in was so comfortable. It wasn't very structured. It was just, whenever I wanted to make music, I would work on music. And so I think that that's probably where I would struggle the most with classes, is because, you go to class and it's a structured process. Now, I'm not saying it's not a good idea, because I am all for structure. I'm just not, always the best at it.
Yeah, completely understood. It's just kind of being aware of that is amazing, because a lot of people go to class because they think they have to, and it's like, class isn't for everyone. Like, I understand that a lot of people should, but it is not to get on a whole.
Always have both. Yeah, you can always choose to do that and not do that, and honestly, doing both is a great idea as well.
Yeah, not to get on a soapbox or anything, but it is what it is. So you started like really teaching yourself how to write, or you as you were writing, you really started to teach yourself how to play guitar and just like the more technical side of things. What was kind of that moment where you decided that you wanted to take it from a pipe dream to an actual reality?
Well, first I had to say to myself, I'm growing up. I'm not doing music anymore at all. And I cut it all out of my life. Like, I wasn't writing, I wasn't anything. And I was like, I just guess in my mind, I thought, this is a pipe dream. And so we're going to put it away. And I did that for 2 years. And I don't know. It just, I wasn't happy that way. And I just don't I write anyway. I was still writing during that time. I mean, I still wrote things down, and I find myself writing it, and I'm like, why are you not doing it then? If you're, so I realized, like, no, we can't not do this. So it was about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was like, you know what, if we're going to do this, instead of spending all this time, doing it and kind of sharing it, we're going to go all in, this is the main goal right now. This is 100%. We're going all in. And that was 2 years ago. And, I've been working on that ever since. It's been just kind of a consistent, it's a slow grow, it definitely is.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I was like, we're in the digital age, like not even just the digital age, but like everything's digital. And then COVID happened and I was like, live shows online, everything.
Yep.
I was like, I could get this to so many people, and all those songs that I thought, like that I've written that were, that I felt were some of my stronger material.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have never heard them. And I'm like, I've heard them for a couple years now and they're old. But then I realized there are millions of people who have never heard them. And I was like, so what we're going to do is we're going to share those, that's the goal. So I think about 2 years ago is when I really buckled down and it's like, we're going to get serious about this. Let's actually make it into something,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so then that's where Traffic came from. That was your like first single that you put out there?
Yep. That was Traffic. Yep.
Was that before the pandemic had hit, or was that after? Had the pandemic already been kind of?
I think it was like near the beginning.
Okay.
It was like right near the beginning of that, because I was at that time I wrote it. That whole song was written and recorded and everything in my car while driving for Uber. And I honestly don't remember what was going on in the day-to-day life because I was overnights at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So if COVID had begun and the pandemic had started, I may not have remembered that because I was night shift. I didn't even see people anyway.
Yeah, I gotcha. I've worked night shift before. I know how that goes, where it's just like, you don't even know what day of the week it is. It's just kind of like, I'm here. So
exactly. But it was, that was the first one. And I think it was right at the beginning of that, just right near the beginning of that. Cause I think it was honestly, it might've been 2020 in the end of 2020, which means it was definitely during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I am so bad at remembering.
No, it's all good. It is all good. Cause when you're looking on Spotify, unless it's like the newest release, it only gives you the year. So it's just kind of like, she could have released this in January, and then because of the pandemic, couldn't get anything else out. Who knows? I don't know. So, no, that's really, and I really enjoyed listening to Traffic. So like the fact that that's your like first big journey out there, it's absolutely incredible. So I just want to give you that piece of feedback there.
Thank you so much.
As you were kind of going through as you were working on Traffic and kind of going through the process of figuring out what kind of musician you want to be, what kind of sound you want to have, that sort of deal. What was kind of going through your head? Who were some of your influences, stuff of that nature?
That's a great question. And I think that was a question I asked myself when I first started. Traffic started really minuscule. It was me sitting in my car recording audio samples of melodies. And after the melody, I decided, I really like this melody. This needs to be something. Then after that, I start thinking, like you said, well, what kind of music do I want to make? What am I making here? What is this? What is this animal going to be? And honestly, I think I was kind of on like a mainstream binge. I know that sounds strange, but between old influences that I've always loved and then some of the newer stuff I found, I was like, I want to take some inspiration from what my favorite artists are also doing now. I think one of the biggest influences at that time was probably Halsey, which I listened to a lot at that time. And I just loved the work. I mean, earlier on in her first album releases, it had it was electronic, but slightly industrialized. And I really liked how the digital influence of effects were really well put together in some of her work. And that inspired me to really make, like, if you notice, you listen to Traffic, it's very authentic. And it's very clear, but it's definitely not acoustic. It has a lot of, like cool vibes going with the delay on the vocals and some echoes going in there. And I think that was probably the initial thing. I was like, we're going to try and keep this about the vocals, but I want to introduce kind of a slightly electronic trip hop vibe to this. Yeah. And that's what the bass was for that project, for pretty much the whole project. And then it kind of grew into its own thing.
Yeah. Awesome. And so then you through the rest of 2020 and 2021, you were starting to work on singles and then the eventual album that released. When the album released again? You just told me like November, I think.
Yeah, September, just before November. Yeah, September.
Okay. And so how soon after the release of Traffic did you decide that you wanted to start working on an album?
I think about halfway through making Traffic. I was taking my sweet time with that song. And I think I worked on that one song for 2 months, very slowly. And then one day I was like, okay, I'm going to go rent a hotel and we're going to buckle down and we're going to do this and we're just going to finish it. And I did that. It was like a weekend hotel music thing. And I locked myself in, and that was in Santa Fe. And I was like, no, we're doing this. And that's when I decided, oh, we're going to make this a whole album. Why not just throw that out there? I was like, let's make it a huge thing because, maybe it gives me an excuse to randomly get a hotel for another weekend.
Awesome. And so you just wrote the entire album, or how many of the songs did you accomplish during that weekend in a hotel in Santa Fe?
I love that question. So the real answer would be none. I did not complete any in that weekend.
That's fair.
But a lot of inspiration came, and a lot of the backbone for the album was really created that weekend. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so now that, all right, since it's been out for 4 or 5 months, October, November, 4 months. There you go. That's how that works. Just doing simple math over here. I'm creative, not an intelligent person. But,
don't look at me. I do the same thing.
Yeah. How does it feel to have your first full-length album out in the world, and how does it feel?
It feels fabulous. I think it was surreal at first because I put it out and I released it. And once it was released, I told myself, don't look at it. Just let it be and don't look at it. Step away. Otherwise, you're going to watch it like a pot boiling.
Yeah.
And so, but I was super excited about it. And I would tell anyone who would listen, even now still, I'm just like, I released a full length album after all this time and all this. I got serious, and now there's an album. I was like, yes, nice. You can do this. Even if I never did anything else, I released an album,
yeah, absolutely.
It feels awesome.
And you did it within a year of deciding to take your music seriously, and you did it all within a year. That's incredible. I know there's thousands of musicians that take 3 years to get an album out just because they're indecisive like that.
Yeah, that is a big trouble with me too. I'll be honest. I had to set myself a deadline. I got a whiteboard and I made a list, and I was like, if you don't do this, you're not. And so I made myself have a deadline for pretty much every track and the album itself, Yeah,
for sure. So now I'm going to ask you to pick your favorite child. Off this album, what's your favorite song to perform?
My favorite song. Okay.
To perform what, yeah.
I personally think Ride or Die is my personal favorite. That's my baby. It's got the most R&B to it. And to me, it just makes me the happiest. But I mean, I love them all. But Ride or Die is the one that I groove in the car. I don't really want to listen to me sometimes, but that one I groove. I really love that one.
What was the story behind that song specifically?
Ultimately, Ride or Die, it's, the stereotype of, commitment, ride or die, partnership, companionship, but it was more so like a letter to myself, like, hey, commitment, not just in relationships, but ride or die. Just like with mapping out the album, we decided we're releasing this on September 13th. And we're going to mark it down, ride or die. Everything was about commitment. I told myself, if we're going to do this, we need to work on our commitment level. So Ride or Die was just kind of an ode to how commitment is a good thing and you should challenge yourself.
Yeah, fair enough. So the name of the album is #I Think I'm Fine, which is a very deep title for an album. And I just kind of want you to explain for everybody that's listening and will be listening, Why did you decide to name your album I think I'm fine?
So it has definitely a deep meaning to it. It sounds almost like something that you would see from like really depressed kids. And well, I mean, that's kind of what it is. I am, sometimes I'm down, and especially when I'm creative, I'm writing a lot about that. And I think the hashtag I think I'm fine was just to summarize what it feels like to feel like you're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on that edge of being absolutely not okay, but you're still like, you know what, telling people, I think I'm fine, but you keep pushing through. Like, no matter how bad it gets, you keep pushing through. And at that time, I was going through a lot myself in my personal life. And there were days where I was like, I think I'm fine, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. So we're gonna keep trudging through and go through the hills and the valleys and see where we end up on the other side if we just keep going. And that's what it was, it's just kind of relate, because even a lot of my fans that I've gained before and after this album, they can relate to that as well. Sometimes you're just like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. And, that was kind of what I was trying to, get out there, is like, hey, guess what? This album was finished and it made it, and there it is. It's complete. So, if you just keep going at it, keep going, you'll get there.
And, it's low key got a vibe of like, it's hashtag I think I'm fine, which lends a sense of insecurity, but in reality, it's a sense of security. And I can't even think of the word I want to use right now. Dang it, I just had it in my head. We'll go with security, because what's that?
I do that every day. What was I thinking? It was right there.
Yep. Confidence. That's the word I'm thinking of. Just gives off the aura of confidence, because you made it to the other side and you were fine, even though you were doubting the fact that you were in a bad moment, but you really were fine. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Absolutely. So. Yes. And that's exactly where that was coming from. And every song was, each one, they have their own feeling to them, but they all kind of end up in this compilation of, here's a bunch of obstacles that I've made it through, and some people I know have made it through. And maybe in the thick of it, you were like, I'm not going to make it. Maybe I think I'm fine. I'm not sure. And then you get to the end of it and you make it through and you're like, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, I did that, or I think I'm fine. I'm just waiting for the next one,
Yeah. Gotcha. So that out, or that I think hashtag I think I'm fine is out now, and it's doing really well. What's been some of the feedback you gotten from the album?
Feedback, a lot of positive feedback, for the most part. I mean, I'm honestly very thankful for that. Like, cause I'm sure, if everybody, whether it's your first song or your seventh, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think I'm always going to feel like, what if they hate it? What if people hate it? Somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, I hope people like this and I hope that they enjoy it. That's all I want. And so far the feedback has been wonderful. People have been really supportive, not just of, that they enjoy listening to it, but a lot of my fans are also musicians themselves. And, they love the production. They love the composition. They love the meaning, or just some of the tones of instruments, and lots of great feedback. I was really grateful for that. And I think most people, the only one that I would say was maybe not positive feedback, but it was still my favorite, was they were like, this album's kind of sad. And I was like, yes, it is. But at the end, you make it through. But it's, it does have, it's a little bit, it has a sad vibe. I like undertones,
Yeah, completely understood. So that album's out now. And at what point after you released it did you decide to release Dark History? Where does Dark History that's your most recent single, right?
It is, yes. Okay. Dark History was so fun to make and do and perform. And then that one was, I think that one might be my second favorite child. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. It's so hard to say, but as it's so fresh and it's the most recent one, it was really fun. That one was actually a standalone single after the album. And that one was really just to celebrate my favorite time of year. I love Halloween. I love just the fall and the cool weather, as it sounds like everyone I've ever talked to, but it's, it's the most creative time. I feel like that's when I'm making, and I was like, you know what if I challenge myself? Let's actually make that song. Let's make it for, Halloween or something dark, and somehow make something dark while still being bright.
Yeah.
And so it ends up being Dark History, and it's kind of dark, but the song, when you hear it, it's really bright tones, it's very pop, and that's where that one came from. That one was very, I wish that I had right now, I have not had the resources or time with moving to create like a really cool video for it, but it's in there. I have it all laid out in my mind.
For sure. And I did get a chance to go through your YouTube channel a little bit, and I can't even remember what was the music video that you had where your eyes were like blinking to the tempo. I can't remember what video it is.
That sounds familiar. I kind of forgot. It was Not a Home. The one with the three faces. Was it that?
Yeah, the three faces. Yeah. There you go. And for whatever reason, the eyes blinking to the beat or I can't even remember what it is. I was just like, wow, that's crazy and bizarre and amazing all at the same time. So
I'm actually so glad to hear somebody say something about it, because that was like a really minute detail. And I honestly, after a while, was like, I wonder if anyone even noticed.
It's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, that one was fun. That was really fun, because I guess, it just felt like that song needed a lot of serious focus and attention to small detail rather than something fantastical. And so I kind of went with the simple, but also like that, just really precise details. And I was just recording it and I'm thinking to myself, and I'm so glad that was caught on, because it was really fun to do. And I'll be honest, it took a few takes, because you had the different beats. And then I had to remember, like, okay, wait, which one was I blinking to again? What instrument was it?
Yeah, I can imagine. And, it's just one of those things where you could easily fake it, but then it's just going to look fake. Like, all you have to do is like blink once or twice, and then you can just kind of repeat it. Like, if you're really good at video editing, there's a way to make it work, but it's just like, nah, if you can make it in real time, you got to do it in real time.
Yeah, in real time. If you were to be there in the room, it was just me standing there, just blinking, for however many takes. I mean, it might have been 30 minutes of blinking for that one. Who knows?
Like, you just drank a whole bunch of caffeine, and it's just like, am I awake?
Yep. That's what it was. It was the coffee for sure.
Nice. So the kind of transition back into Dark History, that's your most recent single. You wrote it. Now, did it release in October, or did you just write it in October?
So I wrote it, actually, I think in the upcoming, I think it was within 2 months, because the album I finished the production and everything for hashtag I Think I'm Fine before it released. I was like, give myself a little bit of a buffer. And I think that was what was in August. So I think at the end of August, I started working on Dark History.
Yeah. And
then released it in October. And I'll be honest, I almost did not meet that deadline. I was late.
Hey, you got it out though. That's all that matters, right? And you brought up that you'd like to do a music video for it, but because of the move right now, it's not really feasible.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure whenever you decide to release a music video, it'll be amazing.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. I definitely have it on the roster for at some point, even because it's standalone. I was like, even if it's not for a long time, and my fans are like, what? Why? It's been forever. I'm just like, hey, you are going to want to watch this. I know it's been a long time, but you're going to want to watch this because it's really cool.
I have a few musician friends that have released songs almost 10 years ago. And I'm like, dude, I want to make a music video for that, because we couldn't do it 10 years ago because none of us had any money or the skill or the know-how. But I want to make a music video for that. And he's like, but that's not even what I'm about anymore. I was like, you have a song called Air It Out about shooting a club up. I have so many amazing video ideas for that.
Oh, I can imagine. Oh, wow.
And
Yeah, I would watch that.
basically the whole song, it's called Air It Out, but it's more, he uses the imagery of shooting a club up, but it's more of airing out all the basic music that gets played at the club.
Yep.
And just like the typical pop 40 stuff. And I was like, we could do so many cool things with this. I just need to find somebody that's really good with special effects because, you know, and,
I gotcha. Yep.
Yep. So I'm still,
even if it's 10 years, if you have a vision, put it out there. Why not? Because people are probably going to love it.
Yeah, I'm still pitching him so hard on it. And he's just like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm like, let's re-release it then. Let's do something. Come on. So
I haven't heard it. Okay. But you have my vote and I will watch it. So throw that in there, maybe that'll help the cause,
Yeah, for sure. But no, it's like, I mean, I'm not against music videos getting released way after the song releases, just because, especially on the independent scene, if you write a really good song early on, not everybody has the money or the know-how to do something like a music video. So yeah,
that's exactly it. Resources. Sometimes, the creativity is there, but the financial and physical resources, you might not have those yet. And that's okay. Sometimes for me, even, I'm sure everybody feels this way a little bit, you feel like, you feel bad about it. Like, I don't have these yet. I don't just remind myself I will. And when I do, it will be done.
Gotcha. And so Dark History out now. What's kind of the plan moving forward? I know you've got another album that you're teasing at least on your website a little bit, but what's kind of the thought process moving forward?
Moving forward, I kind of, wanted to go a little bit back to roots. Mm-hmm. And so I do have some stuff in the works, and Dark History was really fun. And I took it really electronic and really, I just love the pop, electronic. And I was really going to dive into that with that one. And then I was like, you know what, we're going to make 2022 kind of a back to roots year. Let's go back to where we started. So I am working on a project, and that's going to be, right now it's such a little thing right now. I barely started it, and it's definitely still in the writing stages, but that's where you saw it on the website. So that one I've decided is acoustic audibles. And that's where you see the roots. It's like, okay, we're going to the acoustics right now. We're going to the core of where this started. Me on a guitar making noises that nobody wanted to hear.
Gotcha. That makes sense, but it's going to be a lot better this time.
Oh yeah, a lot better. Okay, I'll be honest. Some of my oldest fans will know at least one of these songs already. Okay. Because I'm bringing back some old ones and just really giving them my all. Uh-huh. And that's what I'm really excited about too, is just to really see how they can blossom. Mm-hmm. Some of them are actually, older songs that, most people haven't even heard. And I think a couple of them might be almost 10 years old.
Oh, well.
And we're going to completely revamp them and polish them up and put our all in each one. I'm going to spend as much time as I can on them. So I've got a couple of those, and I can't wait to see the reaction of how they turn out now versus just me on YouTube, gosh knows how long ago, playing on a detuned guitar, So.
Gotcha. So since you're actively in you mentioned that you're bringing back some old songs, but you're also in the process of writing. Since you're in that kind of creative zone right now, what is your process when it comes to writing music?
Coffee. Lots of coffee. A lot of just kind of, I always have to have like time with people close to me, like friends, and I get that. It's really kind of like I would love just to have like a giant hangout and listen to music kind of event. That's my thing, me and my close friends. And then just, let's just talk about stuff. And then I like to write. And then at some point, every other day I'm retreating into my room, or I am sitting there and just writing stuff on my phone or my tablet. And I think that process is, I learned over the years to grab little pieces as I go, even if they seemed irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
because those little pieces, they go somewhere. I don't know where yet, but they go somewhere. And I mean, that's, some pieces that you just put into a song. There's a couple songs on hashtag I Think I'm Fine that have one line of lyrics I wrote 4 years ago. And that's all. And everything else was new and completely written. And that one came from 4 years ago, and just that one line. And so I think that's kind of my writing process is really gradual throughout just normal day to day. And then at the end of the week, I would say, like, I'll go through a whole week and just off and on throughout the day, grab pieces of ideas, write them down. And then on a Sunday, like today, I'm going to sit there and then be like, let's just put it all together. And it's a collage. What do we see? Like, let's play. It's like painting, or doing craft work,
Kind of like B Rabbit in 8 Mile and how he used to.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I got you. Yeah. I was like, I never realized that, but yes.
Now, the important question to follow that up with, are you pen to paper? Do you use notes in your phone or voice memo?
So all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. I think I'm still very pen to paper, but once I pen to paper it, I never forget it.
Yeah.
If I put it in, like a Notion or a Google Doc file or a voice recording, I'll find it later and be like, oh, wow, I forgot I had this.
Yeah.
But if I wrote it down, no, that's in there forever now because that one's just different, but I definitely do all three, I think, on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, that sounds weird, but it makes 100% sense because when you're putting it pen to paper, you have to have the original thought. It's like, okay, this thought, and then you have to revisit it as you write it on the paper. And then, so there's like 2 or 3 points of burning it in your brain. Whereas voice memos, it's just, oh, I have this idea, blah, blah, blah. Cool. And it's gone. And then almost the same way with pen to paper. But I think more of that is it just kind of disappears after, like, you can go back, you could find it, but it's not in your path of day-to-day life. So
absolutely. I think if you went into my audio recorder right now, you would find some longer stuff that are just random noises, but I have like a project in there that I completely forgot about. And it just was, I title things ridiculous gibberish. It's not organized at all. So something might just be like 3 letters that make no sense, GLB or something. I just, blah, 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 and I'm like, what is this? And so I click it and it's like a 30-second blank audio sample. And the only thing in there is like 1 second of me going, huh, or something. And I'm like, what was I using this for? I don't even remember. Yeah. There was a reason I saved this. And I did remember eventually what I was using it for, but I'll be honest, like that one was, I got lucky because most of the time they're just in there and I have no idea. And then I find them and I'm like, what on earth was this supposed to be?
Gotcha. That's very, I'm the exact same way. Like I sit here and luckily now I've got my phone notes backed up on my computer. So it syncs or whatever. And I just sit here and I look at my phone notes on my computer and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. It's like half a voiceover script for something I'm working on or, something else. And I'm like, there's like 7 words that make no sense here. I have no idea what this is. So,
Yep. And then sometimes you just don't find it. And that's why I do definitely think I should, I've been working on it, but definitely if anybody wants some advice, label the files.
Very fair. Very, very fair. So acoustic audibles, that's what we're talking about right now. It's the next up and coming project.
Yes. Yeah. The goal for that is going to be a full album. That one's back to the roots and I think it's got more of like a lighthearted vibe. I kind of envision it, like I said, it's a baby right now. Mm-hmm. But if I were to paint a picture for acoustic audibles, it's a field in spring.
Nice.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the base, that's what we're starting with. It's a field in spring. And I'll be honest, like I want to try and like work on it faster than I am, but I've learned I'm not rushing the process. I'm going to take my sweet time with it. And then, to be announced, I don't have a release date for it yet, but that one's going to be fun.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to ask because I know you're still so early in that process that, it's almost impossible to have a release date and even think it's going to be on time.
Anywhere close. Yeah, exactly. No idea.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. And while you're working on this, are you working on any other singles to release in between now and then, or is like everything kind of acoustic audibles?
So mostly 90% everything's acoustic audibles right now. I'm diving all in, but there is one single that I am working on releasing before that while I'm working on this album. And that one is actually currently in a renaming process. So I can't say for sure what the name of it is.
Yeah.
But that one's actually, it's an older one of my songs. It's one of those two that I mentioned before that my older fans may recognize. They may not, with how different it is now. And that one's, that one's going to be the next single. The original name for it, for those who might know, was Stagnation. And I love the name, but I also am not sure if it really is the best name, and I feel like we're going to work on that one. But so that one's, I will have a single coming out sooner within the next couple of months. And that's that, and then acoustic audibles all in 90%. Cool.
I can't wait to hear all of it. We'll say all of it. I'm really excited to see your more back to basics, back to your roots music. And, I'm really excited to hear all of it. As far as like doing live shows and stuff like that, obviously you just moved to Jacksonville, but do you have aspirations or plans on doing live shows? I have aspirations. Absolutely. I do have loose plans right now because I've just gotten here and I'm kind of really getting established. But it's definitely something that can be expected down the road. It'll likely be once this album is complete. So it's going to be a little bit of time. And so once I start doing that, as far as like, local or even outside of Jacksonville and doing a little bit of smaller touring, I do have a plan for that. And I'm thinking, but it won't be till probably next year is when I'm going to start that. And, but that's the goal. And honestly, I am eager to get there. I'm looking forward to it too, just to kind of get out there and see people and say hi to people. And because right now, whatever I can do that's going to be able to face with some of the people that enjoy what I'm doing. And some of them are friends, some of them are people I don't even know, but it doesn't matter. I just want to see you guys, and enjoy it and share it with them. And before then, the only thing I can say about anything for shows wise is I may work on some, remote live performances for hashtag I Think I'm Fine, the previous album. Yeah. I've got some tossed around ideas for that were in the works, but like I said, right now, 90% all into acoustic audibles. So there probably won't be anything local or live until next year. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Very fair. I was actually good. That was going to be my follow-up question about still doing like virtual shows and stuff like that, but cool. So outside of music, well, let's take a sidestep from music here for a second. But when you need some alone time to kind of decompress from day-to-day life, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do to kind of just get away? Overthink. No, I'm just kidding. Just sit there and stew on it. No, it's sadly somewhat true sometimes, but I've recently started kind of just getting into meditation and more self time, exercise, hobbies. That's a tough one. That's a real, I like to watch, some movies, some TV. I like to play some video games. That's probably the closest I could say is I play PC games when I'm just chilling. Yeah. I just got back into playing PlayStation. Ooh. PlayStation 2, just for clarity's sake, because it's what I have, and it's just like I don't have very many games, but I've been playing football for the last 4 days, and like anytime I'm not doing a podcast or working, it's like I gotta go play football. I don't know why all of a sudden I got bit by this bug, but it is what it is.
It goes on for like a few weeks or something. Yeah.
And hey, if that's all it is, that's cool. I'm good with that. Like, it didn't cost me anything. Like, it's all stuff I already had. So.
Oh yeah, I totally get that. I definitely do that. I think my biggest one is I had like a patch of time where, what was it? 3 months when I was not working or working on music or doing day-to-day stuff. I was on Minecraft.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but I just was on Minecraft. I had it on my computer. I had it on my phone. And I was just like building stuff. I don't know. I made some cool stuff, but it was a great way to just unwind and kind of brain numb for a while, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about the PlayStation is I find myself more stressed out now because I'm just sitting there yelling at the TV like it's did something to me. And I'm like, because I've been playing college football. Like, for whatever reason, that's what I got into.
Nice.
And I'm just yelling at the TV because they're like, I don't know. I don't even want to justify my anger with a conversation about it, but it's just so funny to me now. Like, now that I'm not like actively playing it at the moment, it's like I could sit here and laugh at myself about it, but
in the moment, I kind of think, it might add more stress, I sort of think, just because but it also might be just, like a great release to relax. Like, hey, maybe this week you were really angry and you didn't even know, but now you're just going to yell about that bad play.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. That's essentially what it has to be. So, hey, that's fine. I'm down. So no, that's awesome. Have you seen any good movies recently? Since you kind of mentioned that you like to watch movies.
So I've kind of been on a hiatus on that. I went back and watched some old TV stuff. I kind of was binging on Netflix, and right now the last thing I was binging was The Orville again. And so I was just kind of binging that for a little while, but for the most part,
Seth MacFarlane thing.
Yeah. Okay. The slightly Star Trek-y space one.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's really fun. I think it's a great escape from, the norm and just, work of daily life. So, but I haven't seen anything new to be, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I was not completely honest. I went and saw the new Matrix. That was the most recent new thing. That was awesome. That was great.
Nice. I have not seen the Matrix. Although it is on HBO Max, I could fairly easy go watch it, but
it was good. It was good. It was good though. I could definitely say, like, if you're not really into it, probably meh. But me, I was always into them. So I was like, okay, as soon as it came out, day release, I went to the theater.
Yeah. You see, during the time that the Matrix came out, and like at least the trilogy, because I think the first one had been out for a little bit already, I was actively going through film school, and so that's all everybody ever talked about was how cool the Matrix was, and it was like, I'm good. I feel like you guys, like, I spent so many years just listening to everybody talk about how cool the Matrix is. It's like,
kind of burnt out on it. Yeah.
I'm good. So, it's just one of those deals where it's like, okay, I'm going to keep you pushing. So, no, that's awesome. And then, so before we kind of wrap this up, there's two things we have to accomplish. Do you want to end this podcast on a serious note or a fun note?
Always fun. I'm always too serious. So for the last 2 years, I've been like, if I have to vote, fun.
Perfect. I honestly should even just stop asking, because everybody I've ever asked, it's like, yeah, let's end it on a fun note. So I'm going to stop asking at this point. All right. Serious note. On this podcast, we like to pass on knowledge to the younger musicians that are getting ready to make that next step, that first step, or just, like whatever position they're in. So out of all the lessons that you've learned over the last few years while you've been like really pursuing music, what's one piece of advice that you have for the young musicians?
In my experience, not just through my struggles on my own in creating and promoting or anything like that, writing, but also even with some of my fans, who reach out and, I read their messages to me and they're like, they do, how do you this or how do you do that? And they remind me of me when I was that age. It's like confidence. I didn't have any. I didn't trust that I was going to succeed at something. And I'll be honest, all of them now, I still don't, but I'm gonna, because that's what I told myself I was going to do. So I think just to make sure that you just, pick what you want to do and then keep doing it, have confidence in yourself. A lot of people I've heard from, and especially me growing up, I was really insecure about everything that I made. So I was that girl that was like, oh yeah, I write a bunch of stuff. Can I hear it? It's not ready yet. And well, it's never going to be ready. So just go for it, go for it. Fake it till you make it, like they say.
Yeah. Gotcha. 100%. 100% agreed. So, all right, now it's time for the fun.
Okay.
One thing that we do is I have a random question generator.
Oh, and dear.
Everybody gets a spin of the random question generator. So if you are ready, I have your question right here.
All right, I think I'm ready.
Okay. What could you endlessly learn about and never get bored of?
Oh, endlessly learn about and never get bored of. Programming, computer science. I was going to say people, but I think computer science is more the honest answer.
Yeah. Is that something that you studied in school or always had an interest?
Always had an interest. I kind of somewhat try to study it now, but it's really kind of just a thing that I do sometimes. Yeah. But it's just something I've always had an interest in, growing up. I always loved it. So, but I never would get bored of it.
Nice.
Reading a whole article about machine learning, silly things that you love for no reason that people would not expect. That's one of them for me. Reading the code versus seeing the image. Oh, I'm totally down. I love it. Let's just see how it works. I just want to know how it works. It's fun.
Yeah. I tried to, when I was in school, I tried to get into coding and all that stuff. And like, even now I do like film production and stuff.
Yeah.
And in the editing phase, there's like some coding stuff that we can do. And it's just like, whoosh,
totally different world now. Different world. Yeah. I have that with some stuff because I started wanting to learn it long ago. And then I just didn't for a long time. And then all of a sudden they came out with some of the really generative stuff, like the computer generated things.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away. I was like, this is where we are now.
Yeah.
I want to learn more. And then I get there and I'm just like, I don't understand any of this. I'm going to need to like research 6 other articles just to understand this one article.
Nice. Fair.
It's fun though.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been an absolute blast sitting here chatting with you, and I can't wait to hear all the new music you got coming out in 2022. It sounds like you got a busy year coming up. You had a busy 2021, but it sounds like 2022 is just going to be just as busy. So,
oh yeah, we're going to keep it rolling. Got to keep going. I'm going to do that this year, and the next year, who knows? Because I want to keep busy.
For sure. You got to. So, if anybody wants to check out hashtag I think I'm fine or any of your other releases or anything you got going on, where's the best place for them to do that?
I think I'm fine.com. It's probably the quickest and easiest way to get all of them. As soon as you go there, there's a music page and it's got every platform you could ever want to listen to it on. And that's probably going to be the best way. I mean, I'm a Spotify person myself in my personal time. So I would say Spotify, but it's on Apple, it's on iTunes, it's on, it's everywhere. So I would say, if you can go to ithinkimfine.com, my website, that's where everything's going to be just the hub, simple, easy. And it's been a pleasure. I had a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, absolutely. And then one time for the people in the back, let them know what's one thing you miss about New Mexico.
Green chili.
Really?
Green chili.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I was more of a red chili person, but
I'll say both.
That's just because I like the spice. If I'm gonna put something on my tacos or whatever, I want the spice. But
oh, I miss the straight New Mexico hatch green chilies. My mom even sent me some as a care package. She was like, "You're not gonna get this out there. You got it." So she sent some. She already shipped it.
I will say the one thing I do miss about New Mexico is always having that tamale hookup. I don't have that here. Like I'm in Texas, it shouldn't be that hard to find, but I just don't have that hookup.
Yeah, you're right next door. I mean, you could just drive like 6 hours and go get some tamales.
Yeah, it's like 8 hours. I'm like, I'm good. So, but anyways, once again, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm excited to hear everything you got coming in 2022, and I wish nothing but the best for you.
Absolutely, too. Thanks. It's been a pleasure. I had a blast.
Awesome. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.